Hello, I'm Ollie and this is Criminolly, where I talk about crime, pulp, horror, that kind of thing. Today, not horror, it's Woman Eating by Claire Kohda. So I say not horror because this is one of those books that kind of is masquerading as a horror novel, and certainly has horror themes in it, but is not, I would say, a horror novel. So it's a literary fiction book that draws on kind of horror themes and horror tropes in order to tell its story. And I have to say, I liked it. So I wasn't necessarily expecting to like it that much. It's not a book I bought deliberately, so I got it in one of the Abominable Book Club book subscription boxes. I have read another book that is, I think I would say, similar to this recently. So last year I read a book called Night Bitch by Rachel Yoder, which I did not like at all. So Night Bitch is about a woman who's a young mother in the States who at night transforms into a dog and goes on kind of hunting sprees and things like that. So it's it's kind of a take on the werewolf novel, and I thought it was overdone. I thought the conceit of lycanthropy was not well used. I found it quite confusing, and I just didn't enjoy it as a story. And it felt like it was trying to be clever, and failing to be clever. Woman Eating, on the other hand, I did really like. So, whereas Night Bitch, was about werewolves, Woman Eating is about vampires. So the central character, Lydia, is a vampire. The book is told from her perspective, and she's a young woman in the UK, in London, who is really trying to come to terms with her existence. And I mean that in kind of the fullest sense, in it's not just her existence as a vampire, but her existence as a human. And there's kind of that constantly that conflict between the two halves of her being, if you like. And that's something that's discussed a lot in the book. But whilst the focus of the book appears to be about the vampire side of things, there's actually, rather more subtly, a lot just about coming of age and being a young adult and coping with the world, I guess. So the plot effectively is that she's a vampire. She was turned as a baby by her mother, and this isn't too spoilery. This is all early on in the book, and her mother's been raising her. The vampires in this book, so when you are turned, you can, if you're a child, you continue to grow to adulthood, and then you kind of stop aging at that point. So her mother's turned her and has then raised her, and has constantly made sure that she's got a supply of blood. But the blood that they have is animal blood, particularly pig's blood, rather than human blood. So her mother, has sworn off humans, and Lydia has been raised to drink pig's blood. But she gets no sustenance from normal food or drink at all. She has to have blood. Her mother has now developed dementia and is in a home. And Lydia has to fend for herself for the first time, and she's this is combined with her moving from Margate in Kent, where they had been living, to London, where she's becoming an intern at an art gallery. So she's like an art student, and she's got this internship at a prestigious art gallery. So half of the book really is about her human life, if you like. So her relationships with other people, the men she meets, the friends she makes, her experiences as an artist, and also as an intern working at this gallery, and then half of the book is about her vampirism. So her need to find blood, and the fact that, having moved from somewhere where she had her mum and they had a supply of blood from a local butcher, she's now in London finding it really difficult to find a supply of blood, and is struggling as a result. And it just, it's a very simple story. It's very easy to read. It's only 250 pages or so, and I read it in less than a day. But it's got something about it that I thought worked really, really well. So it it uses the the plot devices and things like that I mentioned to think a lot about aging, which is, I think, I guess is a consistent theme in vampirism, but it felt quite in vampire novels, but it felt quite fresh in this. So she talks about both the struggles of aging, in terms of her mother and her mother getting dementia and things like that, but also the transition that we all go through from being a child to being an adult. There's loads of stuff in here about body image, and about young women's fascination with eating. So one of the things that Lydia does obsessively is watch videos of people eating on YouTube, which I didn't even know was a thing. But apparently there's a kind of subgenre, or whatever you call it, a type of video which is just people recording everything they've eaten in a day. Which I should have searched for that in preparation for this to see if it was a real thing, but apparently it is. So you've got that side of things. So it feels like it addresses a lot of the concerns of young women, and a lot of the things that are talked about in society generally as things that people are worried about young women going through. So there's a lot about that. There's some stuff about kind of sexual abuse and things like that as well. Not in I would have said in a particularly graphic or triggering way, but there are definitely kind of predatory male characters in the book. There's a lot of stuff about social media. So there's all the kind of things you'd expect in a modern book about a young woman, but with the vampirism element thrown in as well. I said at the start it's not a horror book, and it's not scary, it's not particularly horrifying, but it is, I found it very moving. So it's got this kind of melancholy sense running all the way through it, which feels a bit like kind of gothic literature in a way. So you've got this sense of decay in terms of Lydia's descriptions of her mother, who's this kind of once powerful woman who is now lost inside herself, and also just this sense of sadness that Lydia has about her own existence and her struggles to find her place in the world. Those all felt like quite kind of gothic-y themes to me. So yeah, it's good. It's really good. I really liked it, and I would probably recommend it to non-horror fans more quickly than I would recommend it to horror fans. I think some horror fans, particularly people who really, really like vampire novels, might, but they may well enjoy it. But I think some people might be turned off by the kind of the preponderance of kind of social themes in it and things like that. It's definitely not a straight horror novel by any means. But I thought it was really, really good. I enjoyed it very much. It was a lot better than Night Bitch, and I think it was Rachel Kohda's first novel. So I'm definitely interested to see what she writes next. So time for another random book from the shelves. I thought I would continue the vampire theme, and I plucked The Travelling Vampire Show by Richard Lehman from my shelves. So I bought this in a bundle of Lehman books I got off of eBay a little while ago, which I'm gradually working through in my kind of rediscovery of Richard Lehman, which anyone who's been watching the channel for a while will know I've kind of gone through a bit of a journey with Richard Lehman recently. This one is one that I think has a pretty good rep amongst fans, so I'm intrigued to read this one again. It does seem to be quite good, but yeah, I'm not sure. I don't remember. I'm pretty sure I have read it, but I don't really remember it. So yeah, we will see what I think of it when I read it, and hopefully at that point I'll be able to tell you whether I have read it before or not. But yes, that's today's book, The Travelling Vampire Show by Richard Lehman. So as always, thank you very much for watching. Let me know if you've read either of those books. Let me know also what you think about kind of literary fiction that uses genre tropes to make points. I think it often fails, but in the case of Woman Eating, I thought it definitely succeeded. Yeah, let me know what your favourite vampire book is as well. Go on then. I'll throw in an extra question for you today. But yeah, as always, thanks very much for watching. Hope you're safe and well. Hope you're reading good stuff, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Cheerio.